everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today I have for you the Old Republic base class storyline review, the Jedi Knight one, because I figured that's, I think all of them happen, but I figured I'd go with the one that you'd probably follow if it was a movie, right? You'd probably follow the light side. So that's what I did. I don't have too much to say. I'm not going to review every class storyline. If you're that interested in the game, you can play it yourself. I haven't watched all of it, so I'm not going to comment on it. But I'm going to mention this. After this, we have 2 novels, comic, and then we go back to the MMO, basically, till we're done with the Old Republic era. Well, not the Old Republic era, but we're done with the Old Republic MMO, and then Knight Errant, Darth Bane, then the prequel era. But I just wanted to mention that, at least for the Jedi Knight storyline, you begin on the planet Tython, which I thought was kind of cool, because the planet Tython is the planet from the Dawn of the Jedi comics, and the novel. So you have that continuity in there, though that might have come from the Old Republic. I'm not sure what came first. If it was the Old Republic, then the Old Republic established that, and then Dawn of the Jedi went further into that. But regardless, it was very cool to see it again. As they had to retreat to there, I think, because Coruscant, because the Sith, came with the peace treaty or whatever. But overall, I don't want to spoil the rest of the stuff, so if you don't want spoilers, you should probably leave. I can't speak for the game as a whole, because I haven't played all the expansions or anything, or watched the expansions, I should say. I'm not playing it, I'm watching, videos on it. An 8-hour long video of the game, which only includes the main story, important dialogue, and then only gameplay that's directly related to the plot that's about to happen. So you don't see any of the side quests or anything like that. So it's just bare bones base story, and it's still 8 hours long, because I just don't have the time right now. So, but that's how I figured I would get through this story. I thought it was fine. I'm sure people will tell you, if you are thinking about, playing the MMO, that it depends on the storyline you're playing. I watched Jedi Knight. I hear people really like the Sith Inquisitor, or the Sith Warrior, or the Imperial Agent, or the Smuggler, or the Bounty Hunter. This is a very much, you start out as a Padawan, you're a Jedi Knight for most of the game. By the end of the game, you're a Jedi Master. You're going on a bunch of these planets, kind of like in Knights of the Old Republic, and each planet has kind of its own story going on, but also helps further progress the main story. And you kind of just do that over and over and over until you reach the end of the game. I will say, the first hour was really cool, because it's just cool to see the galaxy now, 300 years later. But it's also in this weird time of peace, though not really, because, the Sith are still around, the Jedi are still around. They formed a peace, but there's still a lot of stuff going on. I got kind of bored midway through. It picked back up once the whole stuff with the Emperor was brought back up, and Revan made an appearance. Once all that started happening, I was invested again. But there was part of me that was like, this is kind of boring. That may just be due to the class that I watched, because there's different storylines for each class, and people prefer different ones depending on how much is involved in that, which is fine. Amalgus only made an appearance for a second, at least in the Jedi Knight storyline, that is. So I can't speak for all of it. But that is that. It's okay. If you're not into MMOs, you'll not enjoy the game. I suggest just doing what I did if you were that interested in the Old Republic timeline. I want to consume everything. No offense to Disney fans. If you enjoy the Disney stuff, fantastic. Good for you. The sequel movies, and I've said this before in other videos, but just for people maybe tuning in for the first time, I was really disappointed. And so I found, the expanding universe, and I started reading it, and getting more into it, reading everything post episode 6, basically. So just feeling like I had a vastly superior, sequel. But of course, it's multiple novels, so it's kind of unfair. But now I want to consume everything, and that includes the MMO, because it's big important part of the universe, you know. So, and I've heard a lot about Emperor Vitiate slash Valkorion, you know, slash Tenebrae. You know, I've heard a lot about this guy, and I want to see what he's all about. And so it was definitely interesting. Um, but yeah, it's okay. It's not a great storyline. You'd probably have a lot more fun playing it, I guess, if you're in MMOs. But it's nothing fantastic. I'm expecting way more from the expansions. But as for the base storyline, it sets up enough and ends the story in a way, but also leaves room for obviously much more. That's basically all I'll say non-spoiler wise. But for those of you who have played the MMO, maybe you can tell me about the different classes and tell me the differences and stuff, because I don't know. But what I will talk about is some of the stuff that I had to comment on, which isn't a lot. So if you don't want that, it's time for you to go. But yeah, time for spoilers. It was interesting when you're on Tython, you end up having opposing forces that you have to fight. They're not Sith, but it's due to the Sith that they're in opposition. You know, because a lot of people during this time are upset because the Jedi accepted the peace. And a lot of the people are just not having it. So earlier on, it's more of them, and later on, it becomes more of the Sith. I wrote down Black Sun just because Black Sun gets a mention in this game, which means that the crime syndicate goes back 3,000 years. So I just found that interesting. Because before we had the exchange, that was kind of like the Black Sun, Hutt people of the Knights of the Old Republic. But now we actually have the Black Sun around, which is interesting. And then we end up going on a mission where we end up killing Lord Angrel's son. And so Lord Angrel was a pretty big player in the Darth Malgus novel Deceived. And so it was interesting to see him here. And so he's vastly angry. And for the first section of this game, you are trying to find Lord Angrel and kill him, or not kill him, and stop him, because he's like, during this earlier on in the story, the Empire, the Sith are like, well, we're not condoning these actions. He's a rogue guy. He's on his own. You have the freedom to stop him. We won't get in your way. So that's what they try to do. One of your companions that you get, Kira, who can also be a romantic option if you so choose. She ends up, her backstory is kind of interesting. She used to be a child of the Emperor, not an actual child, but she was think of the Emperor's hand from, with Sidious. That's kind of what she was. There's other children who were also like that for the Emperor, but she escaped that and she came to become a Jedi. And then we finally find Darth Angrel and he dies. The next really interesting thing that happens is that we meet, or we at least see on a holo recording, Lord Scourge. Scourge, if you don't remember, if you haven't read the book, which you absolutely should, especially if you're the fan of the Old Republic MMO. I know there's a lot of people that aren't fans of the Old Republic MMO because they're not happy with it because they love KOTOR 1 and 2 and don't love it. I'm willing to accept this. But he's from the Revan novel. I mean, I think he's from here first. The Revan novel just expanded upon things as the expanded universe does in name. But that's where chronologically you first saw him. And so it's interesting to see him 300 years later. But yeah, after this, the next big thing that happens is we meet a Yoda guy, Oteg, who's voiced by Winnie the Pooh. Not even kidding. Jim Cummings. I think that's how you spell his name. Winnie the Pooh. Yoda guy. Yoda of species. And he says he's been talking to a spirit. That spirit is Mitra Surik, or the Exile from KOTOR 2. So that's interesting. Also, just a little tangent here. So we've now seen Vrook. And now this guy. This is two other Yoda species besides Yoda himself. Every single two of them have spoken normal English. So what's up, Yoda? Why are you purposely talking weird? Because everyone else that we've seen of your race speaks normal. What's up with that, bro? I don't know. But I found that a little bit funny. Also, that Winnie the Pooh was voicing him. But he was a cool, okay character. But basically, you go to rescue Revan. And now I get why people say they want, if they ever made a live action movie, which I hope they never do, or a show, because it's Disney in control now. But just the idea in itself, I can see why people think that. Revan in this game looks a lot like Keanu Reeves in the John Wick movies. But yeah, so we rescue him. We learn, basically, if you've played, or if you've read the novel Revan, you learn the information that you've kind of already known. But then he goes off to do something, which we won't see till the expansion, whatever that is. But he goes off on his own. So there's that. Scourge decides to join us because in the Revan novel, the reason he betrayed Revan and Mitra is because he had a vision that they would fail, but that there would be another with the Force in the future who would stop the Emperor and his evil ways. And he says that the player character that you play as in SWTOR is the one that he has been seeing. That doesn't matter what class it is. I think whatever class he eventually meets you and joins you, whether that be Sith or whatever. But once he finds the player character, he's like, "You're the one I saw. You're the one I saw in my visions." So that way, the player character can feel like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a big giant hero," because it's a power fantasy. You want to be like, "Yes, I am. I am the Luke Skywalker. I am the Anakin Skywalker before he turned bad. Hero of this era," and that's cool and all. Who doesn't want to feel like a hero? So he joins you to help you stop the Emperor. There's also this weird middle section where all the Jedi are like, "We're gonna go ask the Emperor Vitiate, who's been in control all this time, to turn good." It's like asking Sidious to turn good. And that doesn't work. And there's this unspecified amount of time where your player character and every other Jedi that came with you was being controlled by the Emperor. And so you're all kind of Sithy. And so then the last portion of the game is you finding all the Jedi that came with you to stop the Emperor, bringing them back to light or killing them, and then finally facing the Emperor. And the last one you do before you get to the Emperor is Tal Braga. He's a Plow Koon race. And he says things very similar to Kreia. He says he woke up. That he eventually escaped the control of the Emperor, but he realized the truth. That there's going to be never-ending wars forever. And he just wants no Jedi, no Sith, no nothing. He wants it to be gone. Because he sees it as a never-ending cycle. Which is the same reason that Kreia wanted to destroy everything. Well, to get rid of the Force entirely was her old plan. But, you're able to convince him to go back to Tython and you be a goody guy again. So that's cool. Then you finally face the Emperor, and it's all kind of very anticlimactic. You fight him. You kill him. Of course, his body is seemingly gone, but his essence shoots up and breaks the building that you're in so he can crumble and try to kill you, but of course you escape. And what happens with Vitiate? I have no idea. I mean, I know what he looks like in the future. I know some things. How he gets there, how that happens, I'm not exactly sure. But I believe the next time we see Emperor Vitiate, he will not be Vitiate any longer, but he will be Valkyrian of the Eternal Empire. How that all comes to be, I don't know. We shall see in the future. But as of right now, he is gone, at least. And happiness for the Republic. Though, of course, the Sith Empire is not destroyed. Like, yeah, they got rid of the Emperor, but as with the future stuff we'll read with Sidious, the Empire is still around. Not to mention, we have a Darth Vader-esque character who's still around, Darth Malgus. So if I had to put my money on anything, he'd probably come to power and take control since the Emperor's not currently around. I feel like that's the direction they would obviously go. I don't know if I'm right about that. We shall find out, though. But, of course, as is tradition with the end of a Star Wars movie, except for episode 3 and episode 5, because, you know. But, as is tradition, glorious celebration at the end of the episode, even though there's a lot more going on. At the end of this arc, we have celebrations and badges given, and you go from Jedi Knight to Jedi Master. Where you go from there, only the future will tell. But that is about it for the base, just the base class storyline of SWTOR. Even if you haven't played this game, if you're willing to tolerate MMOs and you have the time, which, I know is hard to come by, but, if you've read basically everything in the expanded universe and you want more stuff and maybe you haven't given the MMO a shot yet, I would say do it. You have many hours to grind in just from the base class storylines alone, which you can play for free on Steam. That's multiple different playthroughs with multiple different ways of acting because you're playing as different people. Jedi Knight, play the super duper good guy who maybe breaks the rules just to be in a romantic relationship because romance. But other than that, or be a complete stickler for the Jedi and say, screw you, thought, I want no business with you. And then you could be a Sith and make all the evil choices. Or be a Sith who's kind of moderate, kind of doesn't make all evil decisions just because. There's multiple possibilities with that. So that's something you could do. Plus all the expansions, though you would have to pay for those. So yeah, that's about it for my review of the base class storyline, at least of the Jedi Knight variety. And I will see you when we review Shadows of Revan. Well, actually, sorry. We have a couple more novels and some comics to get through. But then after that, we shall go with the Shadows of Revan expansion for the Old Republic MMO. So until next time, guys, may the Force be with you.